The possibility of seeing Ja Morant wearing the colors of the Golden State Warriors has put the NBA on alert. This is not just a casual rumor. The speculation echoes in backstage conversations, executive meetings, and among league veterans who understand the impact of an explosive player like Morant within a system as sophisticated as Steve Kerr's. The combination of the greatest shooter of all time with one of the most athletic players in the NBA could generate an unprecedented offensive revolution. Curry stretches the floor with his long-range shooting, while Morant compresses it by attacking the rim with fury. This interaction would force any defense to split between two constant poles of danger. The Warriors have always defied logic. When they first built success on three-point shots and off-ball movement, they were called crazy. Today, they are the standard. Therefore, imagining a new tactical shift is not absurd. Morant would bring speed, unpredictability, and aggression. He is the type of player who turns balanced games into storms. With him, the Warriors' pace would gain a new layer of intensity. The central question is whether San Francisco's culture could absorb such an explosive talent without losing its collective essence. Such a trade or negotiation would not be simple. Memphis sees him as the symbol of the franchise and a pillar of its future. Letting him go would require an offer capable of rebuilding the roster long-term. Yet the Warriors' front office has proved many times that it knows when a bold move is necessary. That was the case when they bet on Kevin Durant, and the result was a string of titles. Now, the opportunity could arise again. Morant's arrival would not just be a reinforcement, it would represent a structural transformation. Kerr would have at his disposal a weapon capable of altering the balance of the Western Conference. With Curry freer to explore the perimeter and carry less physical load, Morant would become the internal engine, the creator of chaos. The tactical fit would require adjustments, but the potential is monumental. Behind the scenes, the talk is not only about Morant. Two low-profile yet promising names appear in internal analyses: Abando and Sotto. Young Filipino players with raw talent that sparks both curiosity and hope. Their presence would mean more than technical reinforcement. It would create a direct link with a passionate community that has followed the Warriors devotedly for decades. Abando is pure energy. Anyone who watched him in the last Basketball World Cup noticed his total intensity. He runs, defends, jumps, pressures, and never switches off. In just a few minutes, he changes the atmosphere of the court. He has the profile of a Kerr-style player, versatile, willing, and disciplined. In addition, he connects the team with the vast Filipino community in California, creating an emotional and commercial bond of great value. Sotto, on the other hand, represents the future. At 221 meters, he combines size with skill. He is not just a center to fill space. He understands the game, has vision and passing ability, and continually works on his mid-range shot. In a team like the Warriors, which values movement and collective reading, a big man with such attributes is gold. Since the Bogut era, the team has sought to balance the paint with a player who unites physical presence and tactical intelligence. Looney provides stability, but lacks the growth potential that Sotto offers. Under Kerr's guidance and that of his staff, he could become a defensive anchor while contributing offensively without breaking the fast rhythm that defines the system. Now, imagine the formation. Curry moving non-stop around the perimeter, Morant handling and attacking the rim with ferocity, Sotto setting solid screens and alternating between the paint and the top of the key, Abando ready to punish any slow rotation from the corner. This quartet, with such different mentalities, could reshape the Warriors' identity. Beyond technique, there is the emotional factor. Morant still seeks to prove he can be a champion. Sotto wants to carry his country into the world's spotlight. Abando desires international recognition. This mix of ambition, youth, and talent is pure fuel. The locker room would gain new energy, something missing in recent seasons marked by highs and lows. The Warriors' history is one of rebirths. Since 2015, they have reinvented the game. Now they can reinvent themselves. Combining Curry's established talent with the hungry youth of these names would be more than a roster change. It would be a renewal of purpose. Kerr has always said that discomfort drives evolution. This new configuration would be exactly that. a challenge forcing everyone to grow. Morant would bring the aggressiveness that is lacking when the offense stalls. Abando would strengthen perimeter defense and add stamina. Sotto would give the paint a new dimension. Together, they could restore the team among the league's most feared. The technical fit would be developed gradually, with constant tweaks, but the impact on the group's mentality would be immediate. Opponents would have to rethink everything. Lakers, Nuggets, Thunder, Mavericks, all would face unprecedented tactical problems. Curry and Morant together would demand hybrid defenses, alternating between zone and man-to-man. Sotto would command respect protecting the rim. Abando would accelerate transition defense. The Warriors' game would once again become unpredictable. That unpredictability has always made Golden State a constant threat. When everyone thought the team was just a good group of shooters, they proved to be a collective machine. When people said they were aging, they renewed and competed again. Now they can do the same, but with new energy, connected to a global generation of fans. This global energy is not merely symbolic. Modern basketball is a spectacle that blends performance and culture. The Warriors understand this better than any other franchise. Success on the court must walk hand in hand with impact beyond it. The arrival of internationally representative players like Sotto and Abando would elevate the team to a new level of global reach. It would be a move that transcends sports, a reflection of the NBA's globalization. In a market constantly seeking new audiences, the Warriors would become the perfect link between the heart of the American League and the Asian public. The Chase Center, with its technological and cosmopolitan profile, would become the stage for an unprecedented connection. Picture games filled with Filipino fans in the stands, flags waving, chants echoing, and an energy that bridges continents. It's the meeting point between the Pacific's passion and San Francisco's excellence. The presence of these athletes would be a catalyst not only for the team, but for the Golden State brand itself. Every Sotto play, every Abando dive for a loose ball would be a symbolic gesture, a statement that basketball belongs to everyone. Beyond marketing and representation, there is also the technical and psychological aspect. Steve Kerr's team is built on the idea of harmony. No player can override the system. That's why Morant would need to fully understand the franchise's philosophy. His talent is undeniable, but his impulsive, explosive style would require fine adjustments. He would have to learn to balance his attacking instincts with the patience for the extra pass, a defining trait of the Warriors' style. However, this challenge wouldn't be a problem. It would be a process. Kerr has shaped great talents before. He has handled egos, strong personalities, and immense ambition. The secret lies in his methodology. The coach believes that every player must understand the why behind each play, not just the how. Under this philosophy, Morant would have the chance to grow not only as an athlete, but as a leader. The disciplined, collaborative environment in San Francisco could be the perfect antidote to the turbulence that has followed him. Curry's presence in this process would be decisive. He is more than a star. He's a model. His work ethic, calmness, and quiet leadership have molded the club's culture. Morant, living this daily, would absorb a new way of understanding the game. At the same time, the impact would be mutual. Curry would benefit from Morant's physicality and rim pressure, which would create more open looks for his shots. Each would push the other to new heights. Abando and Sotto would complete this ecosystem. Young, disciplined, and growth-oriented. Kerr could use them in strategic rotations, taking advantage of the first's versatility and the second's interior presence. Both would learn from experienced veterans and develop within a system that values collective understanding over individual statistics. This would create a layer of depth that has been missing in recent years when the roster relied too heavily on its starters. On the court, the impact would be clear. Morant would force defenses to collapse, attracting multiple defenders and freeing up shooters. Abando would exploit those gaps on the perimeter. Sotto, positioned in the short roll, would have options, finish near the rim, or find Curry and other open shooters. This offensive versatility would restore the unpredictability that once made Golden State lethal at the peak of its dynasty. Defensively, the configuration would also improve. Sotto's wingspan would allow the team to switch matchups without losing rim protection. Abando, quick and intense, would bring energy to help defense and lateral coverage. And Morant, motivated to prove his maturity, would need to commit more on defense. Kerr would demand it, as he always has. The result would be a balanced team, capable of dominating on both ends of the floor. The combination of these elements would forge a new identity, less dependent on the past, more connected to the future. A hybrid Golden State, blending experience and youth, discipline and instinct, tradition and boldness. The kind of mix that challenges convention and reignites the flame of a project that once seemed complete, but is now revolutionary again. However, every revolution carries risks. Morant's fit would require patience. His transition from absolute protagonist to co-star would demand emotional maturity. He would need to understand that within the Warriors, individual brilliance only matters when it serves the collective. But if he manages to absorb that lesson, his growth potential would be limitless. He would become more complete, more efficient, and more victorious. For Sotto and Abando, the challenge would be different, resisting pressure and the weight of expectation. The Filipino fan base would place enormous emotional weight on their shoulders. Every minute on the court would be scrutinized, every mistake amplified, every success celebrated as a national victory. Kerr would need to manage this carefully, ensuring both develop at the right pace without skipping stages. The franchise has shown patience with young talent before, and the same would apply here. There is logic behind it all. The Warriors understand that the future of the league belongs to teams that can unite technique and purpose. Playing well is no longer enough. A team must stand for something. Together, Morant, Abando, and Sotto would represent the union of three distinct forces: American talent, Filipino energy, and the Californian philosophy that redefined modern basketball. With that, Golden State would once again become a reference in innovation, not only for how they play, but for how they connect with the world. It would be the first major multicultural project of the post-dynasty era, a team blending continents, styles, and generations, keeping alive the essence of competition and wonder. And as every revolution begins from within, this shift would also bring a new mindset to the locker room. The focus would return to daily learning, constant progress, and love for the game, not relying on past glory, but building something that holds meaning for the future. Curry would pave the way for the next leaders, while Kerr would ensure that the transition unfolds without disruption. This symbolic transition could define the franchise's future. As Curry nears the end of his playing career, he represents more than an idol. He is the guardian of a culture built on trust, selflessness, and excellence. Seeing that culture passed on to Morant, Abando, and Sotto would be the natural next step for an organization that has always thought beyond the present. The presence of these young players alongside a leader who has already achieved everything would act as a silent passing of the torch, where experience meets the hunger to rise. Each practice, each team meeting, each pre-game talk would become a learning lab. Kerr, as always, would extract the best from each player. He doesn't see stars, he sees mechanisms, and if these new pieces function in sync, the system will shine again. Golden State has always thrived when balancing individual talent with collective intelligence. Morant would bring the spark, Curry would keep the rhythm, Sotto would provide structure, and Abando would add tempo. 4 distinct profiles, but together they could recreate the dynamism that once captivated the world. However, the impact of this possible reconstruction would not be purely technical. The Warriors brand would become a socio-cultural phenomenon. The involvement of the Filipino community, both in San Francisco and the Philippines, would create a global movement of support. Asian companies, new sponsors, and dedicated broadcasts would expand the franchise's reach. That would bring resources, visibility, and above all, meaning. For the first time, Golden State would have a deep connection with a public that has always been passionate about the NBA, but rarely saw itself represented within it. That representation would trigger a domino effect. Young Filipinos would start believing they too can reach the NBA. The social impact would be enormous. Networks would be flooded with videos, reactions, and inspiring stories. And with every game, Chase Center would become the stage of a multicultural celebration. Sport would turn into a bridge, and the Warriors, a symbol of that union. But to reach that point, there's a path of construction. No empire rises overnight. Kerr would need to rebuild part of his rotation, adjust the game's tempo, and find new ways to integrate Morant into the system without compromising fluidity. Defense, a crucial element, would need adaptation. Morant would have to assume greater responsibility in containment, while Sotto would develop as a rim-protecting pillar. Discipline would be the key word. Gradually, the team would gain new form. Practices would become arenas of experimentation. The offense, long defined by movement and quick shots, would start to include violent drives, vertical pick and rolls, and high-speed cuts. The tempo would grow even more dynamic. The old identity of passing and shooting would merge with a new layer of physical aggression. That fusion of the cerebral and the instinctive could create a unique style of play, a natural evolution of the system that once revolutionized basketball. Amid this process, Morant's figure would become central. He would have the chance to rewrite his own narrative. Away from the controversies and pressure of Memphis, he would find an environment that demands accountability but provides support. Kerr would demand total commitment from him, and Curry would show what it means to lead without needing to be the loudest voice. That blend of mentorship and structure could transform Morant into a more mature and efficient version of himself. Sotto, with patience, would be shaped into a modern center. Kerr and his assistants value players who understand the rhythm of each play. His evolution would be gradual but inevitable. His size and technique already make him a valuable project. With proper training, he could become a reliable defender and a versatile offensive threat. The mere fact of having a mobile center capable of passing and moving would give Kerr new tactical options. Abando, meanwhile, would be the symbol of invisible effort. Players like him, who give everything on each possession, are essential to balance star-studded teams. He would be the one to cover gaps, to run when everyone slows down, to defend when no one else wants to. And that kind of effort, even discreet, is what turns good rosters into champions. As the weeks passed, the impact would start to show. Practices would grow more intense, chemistry more visible. Fans would sense something different. It wouldn't be just a team of veterans trying to relive past glories. It would be a living, pulsing team renewing itself in real time. The Warriors' style would become fun to watch again, not from nostalgia, but from innovation. Opposing defenses would struggle to read the patterns. When they double-teamed Curry, Morant would attack the gap. When they closed the paint, the perimeter would open. And when the bench came in, Abando and Sotto would maintain the energy level. The game would once again be unpredictable. Victories, a natural consequence. The entire league would feel the impact. The Lakers would need to rethink their transition defense. The Denver Nuggets, used to dominating the paint, would face a mobile center hard to contain. The young, fast Thunder would see a rival with renewed energy. And the rest of the West would realize that the old Golden Empire hadn't fallen, it was simply transforming. That transformation keeps the Warriors' essence alive. It's not about reviving the past, but reinterpreting it. Just as the 2015 team reinvented basketball, this new cycle could reinvent the very concept of reconstruction. Instead of starting from zero, the Warriors build upon their own history, blending wisdom and youth, technique and emotion, experience and hope. And it's that hope that moves the fan base. Because every golden era begins with a bold gamble, and the rumor of Ja Morant, Kai Sotto, and Ren's Abando isn't just about basketball. It's about the power to reinvent without losing one's soul. When this movement materializes, the impact will be felt on and off the court. The Warriors would once again become the team that inspires, that sets trends, that challenges conventions, and above all, the team that unites worlds. What's unfolding before the NBA's eyes could be the rebirth of a legend. The Golden State Warriors, who once transformed basketball, now prepare to do it again, only this time with new voices, new faces, and new energy. Ja Morant would bring the raw electricity that's been missing. Sotto would offer the balance and paint presence the team has sought for years. Ren's Abando would be the fuel of intensity, the reminder of effort's value. And through it all, Stephen Curry would remain the axis, the beacon, guiding an entire generation. This blend of brilliance, youth, and hunger may mark the beginning of what many already call the second golden revolution, a new cycle, less predictable, and even more global. The kind of movement that not only reignites fans' dreams, but also changes how the world sees basketball. When the Warriors move, the entire NBA feels the tremor. And this is one of those moments when everything can change. So if you believe this new chapter is about to begin, don't leave without showing your support. This kind of content takes time, research, and passion for the game. Before you go, drop a powerful like below, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell to stay updated on the Warriors' future and the next NBA market shocks. The new golden era is closer than it seems. And when it begins, you'll want to say you witnessed it from the very first minute. So here's the invitation. Participate, comment, share, and be part of this revolution. Because what's coming could change basketball all over again.